Here is another crazy story. My job at the auto parts shop was only paying $17 an hour, and I couldn't get more than 32 hours a week. No matter how much I begged my boss for some overtime, he wouldn't budge. My wife was working as a customer service rep, which didn't pay much either. One day, she told me she wanted to pick up a part time job, waitressing, or something to help make ends meet. It was a great idea, and I supported her. A few weeks later, she told me she had gotten hired at a fast food place just about 15 minutes down the road. She said her shifts would be evenings and weekends, usually closing around 10 p.m. I was glad she found something flexible that could work with her other job. At first, things seemed normal when she would go to her part time job, but after about 6 weeks, I started noticing some weird behavior. Uh-oh. My wife would come home late, like 3 or 4 a.m., even though the place closed at 10. See, this is what I mean. This is a glaring red flag. At most, even after cleaning up, it shouldn't take no more than an hour and a half to 2 hours to clean that place up. When she did get home, she would barely talk to me and just get on her phone right away. When I would ask her how the shift was, she'd give me one-word answers or say she was tired. I figured it was just stress and getting used to working two jobs. But the really late nights continued even after having the second job for months. Some nights, her getting home so late would make me worried, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions or assume anything fishy was happening. Something fishy going on. Hell yeah, it is. She gets home at 3 or 4 in the morning and the place closes at 10. Yeah, something's going on, all right. My wife had always been faithful and honest with me. I chalked it up to maybe having to finish cleaning or do paperwork after closing time. But one night, I decided I wanted to surprise her and bring her a coffee or snack on her break. I drove to the fast food place around 8:30 p.m., since that was usually when she took her 15-minute break. When I went inside, though, the girl at the counter had no idea who I was talking about. Oh, wow. Good grief, this is crazy. I described my wife and kept insisting she worked there, but the manager came out and confirmed they did not have any employee by that name. I was so confused. She had been telling me she was working there for months. At first, I thought maybe I had the wrong fast food place. When I got home, I checked the location sharing app on my wife's phone, and sure enough, it showed her at the same restaurant almost every night she claimed to be working. Instead of confronting her immediately, I decided I needed to get to the bottom of this. The next day, I purchased a small GPS tracker and placed it under the back bumper of her car. I felt gross spying on my wife, but my gut told me something fishy was happening. Why would you feel gross? I don't get it. If you don't want to confront her, gather evidence. How else are you going to find out what she is up to? Men, never second guess yourself in finding out what your wife is up to if she is acting funny. It took a couple of days, but eventually the tracker data showed me what my wife was really up to at night. It turns out she was never working a part-time job at all. Damn. Every night she claimed to be working, she was actually going to a hotel and parking there for hours. I didn't want to believe my wife of 4 years was cheating on me, but the evidence was clear as day. When she came home from another shift that night, I confronted her with the tracker information. She broke down in tears and confessed everything. Apparently, she had never gotten hired for their waitressing job. But instead of telling me that, she secretly downloaded Tinder and started hooking up with some guy she met at the place where she initially applied for the job. For months, she had lied to me every time she met him at a hotel by the highway. Damn. I was absolutely devastated. The woman I thought I knew for the last 4 years had been lying to my face and betraying our vows. Even though my wife begged for forgiveness, I couldn't get over the magnitude of her deception. A few days later, I met with a divorce lawyer and proceeded to make sure everyone knew exactly why I was leaving her. I posted about the affair on social media, told all our friends and family members, and made sure to bring it up to anyone in our small town who would listen. Maybe I shouldn't have blown it up so publicly, but I was just so hurt and angry. I wanted everyone to know what a liar my wife was. I blocked her on everything possible, deleted or trashed every photo of us together, and changed my phone number. It's been a few months now, and I'm still trying to pick up the pieces. I never imagined at only 4 years into our marriage that it would end so suddenly. But I guess that's the risk you take when you truly trust someone. I don't know when or if I'll ever get over the pain and betrayal. For now, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. I've been leaning heavily on friends and family to help me get through this difficult period. My sister has been great, calling to check on me every day and having me over for dinner a few times a week. My buddy Rick has been a rock too. We've been friends for a long time, and he knows me better than anyone. He came over to help me haul my wife's stuff out to the curb and listen while I cried about how much I missed the life we had built together. Rick reminds me that my wife wasn't who I thought she was and that I deserved better. Work has been a good distraction during the day. I've been trying to pick up extra shifts at the auto parts store whenever possible. The guys I work with are sympathetic about the divorce and don't pry for details. They make stupid jokes to try and get me to laugh. I've also reconnected with some old hobbies I enjoyed before my wife and I got married. I dug my old fishing pole out of the garage and have been hitting the lake more often. Just being out in nature helps clear my head. I joined a local softball league, which gets me exercising and interacting with new people too. My sister recommended this counselor she had gone to after her divorce, so I decided to book an appointment. I wasn't sure about therapy, but having an outside perspective to discuss things has been helpful. My counselor challenges me when I start blaming myself for not realizing about the affair sooner. She says my ex-wife's actions reflect her flaws, not mine. I know things will get better with time. The first year after finding out has been the hardest. I have more sad days than happy ones, but little by little, I'm putting my life back together. Eventually, the sting of my ex-wife's betrayal will fade. It's funny looking back now at how oblivious I was in those early weeks and months of my wife's affair. At the time, I didn't pick up on the subtle signs something bigger was going on, but in hindsight, all the clues were there, like how she suddenly became obsessed with going to the gym. She went from never stepping foot in one to being there nearly every day. She said it was to relieve stress, but now I realize it was likely just a chance to look good for her new boyfriend. Or how she started meticulously grooming herself, getting Brazilian waxes, whitening treatments, lash extensions. Well, it seemed like something compelled her to drastically change her appearance. She had never been hugely into beauty and primping before. I just thought maybe she was growing more self-conscious as she got older. Another weird thing was how she practically lived in yoga pants and tight tank tops around the house all the time. She used to lounge in baggy tees and pajama pants, but suddenly switched to showing a lot more skin. Yeah, that's one of the signs they say, these so-called experts, is when someone's attire drastically changes. Pay attention to that. At the time, I took it as a compliment that she still wanted to look cute for me at home. Also, her sex drive skyrocketed out of nowhere. We went from making love maybe once a week to sometimes multiple times a day. Of course, I didn't complain at the time. I figured we were just going through a spontaneous, passionate phase. Now I know it was probably just guilt motivating her. That's exactly what it was. The most obvious sign, though, was how my ex-wife started hiding her phone and taking it everywhere. She never let me touch it anymore and got text alerts at all hours that she said were from her girlfriends. Like I said, all the clues were right in front of me, but I was too trusting to imagine she was betraying me. That blind faith is what allowed her to sneak around for so long before I finally discovered the truth. I won't make that mistake again in my next relationship. Slowly but surely, I'm starting to regain my confidence and sense of self-worth after she shattered it. Reconnecting with old friends and trying new hobbies has helped a lot. So has my counseling sessions and nightly journaling. Writing out my feelings is very cathartic. Someday, I hope to meet a woman who will treat me with the loyalty and respect I deserve. When that time comes, I'll be ready for a fresh start. My wounds from my ex-wife's betrayal are healing little by little. In this situation, I always say time heals all wounds. Some just take longer than others. But one thing I want to say, we need to stop dismissing our gut feelings. If your gut is screaming at you, don't ignore it. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.